Reading a little bit in the area. Mm-hmm. Mmm. That is yummy. Green and black tea together. I love it. Yes, thank you. Introduction to Comfort My People. We're just reading from the beginning. Yeah, the clouds look cool. You want to see? Oh, the shapes are changing so quickly. Looks totally different now. Yes, I know. I gotta fix it. Yes, the comfy is very comfy. Introduction. Comfort My People. This was written in the 60s, I believe. Comfort, comfort my people, says your God. Isaiah, Sheehan Ward, New York. Looking for the year 1968. Library of Congress, catalog card number 68-26037. The author wishes to thank the editors of The Critic for permission to reprint 2 chapters which first appeared in their pages. Introduction. The world is trying to tell us something. It does this in a confused mixture of styles, sometimes through the echoless silence of its alienation, and at other times in the furious, multicolored whirlwind of its wars and entertainments. Behind all of this, man is a hunter, stalking himself, seeking his own meaning in a trembling universe. The world is saying that it seeks something of lasting value, something that will help it to find itself and give it truth by which it can live genuinely. Men are saying, whether they recognize it or not, that they need the words of eternal life spoken by a church that genuinely understands them and their longing for life to the full. Gregory Baum has pointed out that in the documents of the Vatican II, the term church has several meanings. It can refer to the church as the Roman Catholic Church, composed of those who explicitly acknowledge the hierarchical ministry and celebrate the 7 sacramental actions of Christ. It can also refer to the local congregation, to Christ in the presence of those who stand around the altar all together. Beyond these, church also designates the community of all the baptized, and also the church universal as it pertains to all mankind summoned and transformed by divine grace. Church also designates the mystery of relationship in the spirit of those who are friends or who are becoming friends, in contrast to men in conflict with themselves and separated by alienation from others. It is in this latter sense especially that I speak of the church in this book. This is the open church which presents itself as the people of God, in the caravans of whose pilgrimage there is room for all. It is the church of those called to be friends and to share the life of the Spirit with each other. This is the church whose pastoral presence is so desperately looked for by men today. It is the community of believers who gather, not to hide in the hills in anticipation of some prophet's doomsday, but to give life to each other through the love that arises from the action of the Holy Spirit. This is indeed the church which can understand man and his agonies, which can bind up his wounds and offer him redemption through its invitation to life in and through the community of Christ. This is the church that comes into being whenever men truly open themselves in faith and hope to one another. I have written this book to reflect on the basic Christian attitude of defenseless service to others. An individual does not find faith out of the blue. In the human process, a man will not believe unless someone shows him. Acts 8:31. Faith comes through hearing, through personal interaction, through incarnation, death and resurrection in relationship to other persons. The incarnational vocation of the church bids all the churchmen and churchwomen to share in making the pastoral presence of the saving mystery come truly to life in the family of man. In the document on the church in the modern world, the Council Fathers ask, "What does the church think of man?" People are waiting for an answer. From the answers, it will be increasingly clear that the people of God and the human race in whose midst it lives render service to each other. Thus, the mission of the church will show its religious and, by that very fact, its supremely human character. The church cannot be religious unless it is fully human. There has been a long and trying tendency on the part of some spiritual commentators to be suspicious of this basic truth. This has led to an indictment of human relationships as not being supernatural, as though the mystery of salvation were to be accomplished between disembodied spirits rather than persons. But the setting of redemption is the world, not the desert retreats that reject it. Men live the life of the Spirit in community with one another, not in breathless strivings to escape one another. The great message that the deeply human church has for all men lies in offering them a community that calls them out of their suffocating and self-defeating isolation from each other. The church's mission is to bring men into true community with each other under the action of the Spirit. This cannot and will not occur unless the church is fully committed to its incarnate vocation. It is when the church forgets or misunderstands its humanity that it fails to understand its relevance to the world. The basic attitude of the church can only be manifested in the open human attitudes of its members. Here is where the Spirit breathes on men and brings them to life. The most important instrumentality of the church is its human personality. This does not exist aside from the human personalities of its members. The essays in this book will, I hope, help the church's servants to understand and accept their own humanity, to forgive themselves for it, and to assist them in giving the full gift of it to others. The more truly human they are, the more fully can they be the agents of the Spirit in the work of redemption. I am afraid that too many of the church's servants have been trained not to trust or value their own humanity. This has led to a great deal of non-redemptive suffering in their lives and has prevented them from being as free and loving as God's servants have a right to be. It continues to amaze me to notice the sense of relief that many of the church's servants experience when they realize that they are not called to be angels and that it is all right for them to be human beings. Once they can admit themselves into the human race and accept their necessary imperfections, they find the freedom of God's children and can give themselves in genuine service to others. That is really what life is all about. It is what the life of the Spirit is about as well. What else do we have to give to others except ourselves a little more unselfishly each day? Buildings and blueprints will mock us eternally if we do not understand the church has a mystery that fundamentally transcends them. The persons who are God's people are the only prize in the apostolate. What else is there in life for a servant of the church than his people? How else can the church be made present if we fail in the real meaning of the poverty of the apostles? To give our imperfect persons unservedly and unconditionally for the sake of others? Salvation is a human enterprise. It is for men. It comes through men who are ready to love other men, not for their praise or even for credits in the ledgers of heaven. We are called to love other men, not because we conjure up Christ in them, but because they are men and they need us. That is why Christ loved them and gave himself up for them. This is a perilous task, the invitation to become relevant through our relationship with other men. It is the kind of activity that can hurt and even destroy us. Several months ago, in an incredible accident in Vietnam, a live grenade was lodged in the back of a civilian. Careful preparations were made for this delicate surgery. Walls of sandbags and shatterproof glass were erected. The doctor was protectively dressed and provided with an extended instrument to perform the operation on this man, so cruelly a victim and a threat at the same time. Whenever we minister with some sense of Christian love to men wounded by life or sin, we can all too easily approach them with the same caution. But men are suffering and dying and crying for help. We can be overwhelmed by the sense of threat that arises if we place ourselves at their side. It is not good enough to reach out to man from behind sandbags that make us secure, from behind shatterproof glass that saves ourselves. The world has a right to something better than that from us, from men and women whose love exposes them to pain and hurt in saving others. Our persons must be involved if we seriously take on the responsibilities of the pastoral presence of the church. We have lots of sandbags and shatterproof glass, all fashioned in the age of clerical culture that made us focus excessively on our own perfections, sometimes at the price of failing to give ourselves to the service of the church. I do not think the sandbags give us much protection anymore. And, as we should have known all along, people can see through glass. even if it is shatterproof. The servants of the people of God find themselves exposed to all the dangers of relevancy. From them, the post-conciliar milieu is one of tension, the invigorating tension that arises because their own persons are so intimately and completely engaged in the work of redeeming their brothers. This book is not aimed at dissolving the healthy tension of life in the spirit. Hopefully, it will help some to recognize and accept this tension as a sign that they not only have life, but they can hand it on, even though they are imperfect to others. The reader will notice that I use the terms priest, pastor, and pastoral figure somewhat interchangeably throughout these essays. This is because the pastoral work of the church, particularly in this time of evolving apostolates, is a responsibility which the priest shares with religious brothers and sisters and laymen. The priest may be the central figure in the pastoral presence of the church, but he is not isolated or insulated from others in the role. What I have written can be applied to all Christians who participate in making the church a living presence in the world. I have really written only an introductory series of reflections on this subject, prompted by my experience with the churchmen and churchwomen, clergy, religious, and laity alike, who have, through their own persons, given me an experience of the church. I hope in some way I have captured the glimpse of the Spirit that make them the light of the world. If there is truth in any of my words, it is because these genuine Christians have made the words of life flesh through their own persons and have shared themselves freely and genuinely with me. Eugene C. Kennedy, M.M., Glen Ellen, Illinois, March 13th, 1968, F.S. You're welcome. Yes, we'll read more later. That was the end of the introduction. And chapter 1 is the dissolution of clerical culture. Namaste. Thank you. You're welcome. Peace be with you, and also with you. Me, myself, and I. Thank you. Yes. Cheers. I love the tea. Yes, just the tea with a little bit of aloe. It's very good. Those honey sticks are good, yes. No honey in the tea today. Nope, just the tea and aloe. And we have our water. Ooh, and you want to know what's really good? Cheers. So we tried these. We haven't tried this flavor yet. We tried the cookie dough kind. Really, really good. This one is called Daydreaming About Donuts. Yeah, it's a protein bar. No gluten, no dairy, no soy, no seed oils, no sugar, alcohols. All delicious. 190 calories, 12 grams of protein, 11 grams of fiber. Check that out. All packed into this cute little... they're so awesome. The cookie dough one is really good. And it's simply made with almonds, brown rice, pea protein, and cassava. We were reading about the cassava flour and how good that is for you. Thank you, True Brands, Miami Beach, Florida. P.S. Keep me cool. Oh, they didn't have them in the fridge at the store. 8 grams of fat, 3 grams of saturated fat, no trans fat, 23 carbs, 8 sugars. Very good. Tapioca fiber and cassava blend, plant-fueled protein blend, which is whole grain brown rice protein and organic pea protein. Almonds, organic cane sugar, RSPO palm oil, natural flavors, medium chain triglycerides, sea salt, sunflower lectin, rosemary extract. Love it. Daydreaming about donuts. Check it out. Yeah, I know. Yes, thank you. I have to redo my nails. Thank you for noticing. You're funny. Oh, yeah, we did that already. So we were doing a breathing exercise. So you can try this if you want. So if you take a breath in through your nose, if you can, and then out through your mouth. Do that a few times with a relaxed face. They asked if it was possible for me to relax my face. Alright, so after you do that a few times with your face relaxed, then you go, you do this with your eyebrows. Push up and hold it like that. And then take a breath in through your nose. Isn't that a big difference? Why are you laughing at me? Do you feel the difference? It's almost like it's going to different places, right? Just that one little change in movement. Yeah, with doing this too, you notice a difference. We do that one too. That's a good one. The possibilities could be endless. Have fun, everyone. I would love to, yes, thank you.